And now, it's time for a Nebraska Cornhuskers football update, presented by Uncoiled. Here is our Husker football insider, Ben Manning.
That's right, folks. It's football season.
Yeah. Woo!
Except not really. No. We got one fake game to watch, which is just a tease. Now we wait 4 more months until the real thing, but it was nice to see.
Yeah,
So,
everyone was excited.
with that said, for his first appearance on Uncoiled on News Talk 1290, we're going to bring in our friend Ben Manning. Ben, how are you?
I'm good, guys. I think your intro there, you're giving me a little bit too much credit, but I'll try to live up to the hype.
Yeah, we want to make you sound good.
There you go.
Did you have fun?
Oh, I did. I loved it. I tell you what, guys, I think that at least the passion, hopefully the on-the-field performance will live up to it. We've still got a while until Akron, but I think the passion for Nebraska football is back. I just looked it up here. I got a few quick little stats for you. There were 86,818 in attendance, yours truly and my wife included. It was the biggest spring game in Husker history.
Oh, wow.
The 8th biggest spring game in NCAA history.
Woo!
And these two little stats I need to throw out there, and I kind of need to throw this at my sister-in-law because she's all about the SEC, so hopefully my wife isn't listening to this. But but anyway, the two teams behind Nebraska for their attendance this year were Georgia at 82,184 and Alabama at 74,732, and then it was back to the Big Ten with Penn State. So the SEC, or as I like to call it, the Spoiled Elitist Children Conference, nowhere near close.
That's awesome. So you've been to a lot of other spring games, right? For the Huskers?
I have been to several. I will say that I tend to, if there's not a new coach or some hype, to a little bit more save up my money for the actual season because I am a season ticket holder.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Several, yeah.
So how does this one, I mean, you already touched a little bit on how the atmosphere was really awesome, but how does this one compare to other ones that you've been to? Like if you've been to another spring game where there's a coaching change, what was different about this one or how was it similar?
I think that it's just really a lot of people are looking at Scott Frost as the prodigal son. You know, Nebraska football is back in Nebraska hands. I think there's a lot of excitement about that. I think there's a lot of excitement about having a former national champion back at the Realm as well. I think there's a lot of excitement as well about having a man in charge that several people are saying, you know, we should have put in charge 4 years ago. I think that really the only thing in my mind that can even compare close was the first Bo Pelini spring game and Bo walking out with the cat, in hand.
Yeah.
But I mean that in my mind wasn't even close to this. This today was truly special, and
wow.
I look forward to Nebraska football this year, and hopefully great things will be accomplished.
Yeah, that's really great to hear.
Hell yeah. Well, I got to watch it on TV, which probably wasn't near as cool as what you got to do, but you could tell it was a whole different ball game there. There were a whole lot of other ex-Huskers than there usually are. Everyone was excited to get here and see Scott Frost walk through that tunnel for the first time in 20-some years.
Well, and one little thing that really meant a lot to me too, and I know a lot of times it's the little things like the defensive coordinator, and I was going to talk to you about that a little bit later. But I'm really hoping that he's going to be on the sidelines. I mean, I know it's much more about the play and how the coach feels comfortable, but there are just things that are Nebraska things, and to me, the D coordinator is supposed to be on the sidelines. But that's kind of another discussion. But
yeah,
fact, though. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I apologize for interrupting, but I was going to say let's get into the game a little bit. I know it's a practice. The stats are just there just to see. The score doesn't mean anything, but I do want to get your take on the quarterback position. We had Tristan Gebbia and Adrian Martinez, on the red team, which won, if that matters. And we had walk-on Andrew Bunch, who's getting a lot of praise, basically because he's a walk-on, and Noah Vedral on the white side. Adrian Martinez seemed to take the place by storm. He did a lot more running than passing. But man, is he quick. What did you think of the 4 quarterbacks that you saw?
If you would have asked me prior to the game, really, who was your number one pick to lead this year, I simply would have said because of experience and because of his experience with this system and these coaches, I would have said Noah Vedral. Now, having that said, I know that they're trying to get special permission for him to play through the NCAA.
As of right now, he's not allowed to play this year because he transferred. You're right.
But having that said, really, there was a lot of hope there. Another Nebraska native coming home, the Wahoo son and all that. But I was really kind of disappointed. Right now Noah, in my mind, is very much 4th string. I think that maybe the pressure of being home and maybe just the pressure of performing in front of the people that he knows and everything maybe got to him. I don't know, but I think he's very 4th string in my mind. And Andrew Bunch, I would probably say, is my number 3. He did some good things today, and of course he had the scoring pass to get things going early on in the game. But I would really agree with what the Big Ten Network was saying earlier, that really it comes down to Adrian Martinez and Tristan Gebbia. Adrian Martinez is probably the better runner between the two. But I would just, if it comes down to one guy, and I would probably say Adrian Martinez if you were to ask me right now.
Nice, awesome. So you kind of touched a little bit already on the defense, but we want to get your take on that. Do you think the defense still has a lot of work to do? Because the score, it was 49-9, so a little bit of a blowout. So what's your take on that?
I think they do have a lot of work still to do, Laura. I really do, and the defensive coordinator is saying the very same thing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done across the board.
Yeah.
It is a brand new system for these kids, 3-man front, and it is something that's going to take some time to learn. But one of the things that does make me give me a lot of hope, is these coaches did an incredible job down at UCF. It basically took them 2 years to, in most people's mind, myself included, to be the national champions last year. And I still say they were the national champions last year, but I know that doesn't matter. But one of the things, though, that really makes me hopeful for this defense is they're saying that when this is installed, it's going to be something very similar to what Wisconsin brings in and week out.
Yeah.
And we know Wisconsin is arguably one of the biggest powerhouses in the Big Ten right now. So I'm really excited to see that.
Nice.
Ben Manning joining us on Uncoiled. He is our Husker insider. And so I'm not from here. So the whole Nebraska scene to me is completely different from someone who grew up in Nebraska who's like a diehard fan like you are, Ben. So I got my experience last year through that awful season. But with this new season, I'm getting kind of like some really excitement like around the area. What is one thing that I should be, somebody who's not familiar with the program, what is one thing that you think that I will take away from this upcoming Nebraska football season?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think one of the things that a lot of people are going to take from this season is it's going to be a lot more behind the scenes, probably what you're going to take from it. I think you're going to see just what Nebraska football truly means to this state. You're going to see a lot more of the big names come back and help out Scott Frost. There was even word at one point, I did not see him, but of a Tom Osborne sighting at the spring game today.
Ooh.
He was there. He was interviewed on the sideline.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it just, the other thing that I think you're really going to get a taste for is if you're a college football person at all, I think you're really going to be very interested to go back and look at the 90s games, especially the 94, 95, and especially the 97 season, actually see our coach suited up and see what he's able to do himself and possibly what he's going to be able to bring to this program.
Back to some on-the-field stuff. Nebraska's 2 leading receivers last year, J.D. Spielman and Stanley Morgan, were both out today due to illness. There's been a virus going through the locker room that's taken down a whole bunch of the players, and unfortunately they got it at a time that they weren't able to play. They were there, but they did not play. So with them out, there were a lot of other receivers that got to see some playing time today. Did you see or have your eyes on any particular receiver that you thought really showed up and balled out today?
Going back to that first initial score, one of the people that impressed me immensely, and just one of the things that has meant something to Nebraska for forever, is the walk-on program. And I think it was just so fitting, kind of talking about bringing back the old Nebraska football, that the first person that made a touchdown, and it was an over-the-shoulder catch. It was an awesome
Beautiful catch.
And
yeah.
first they said that it wasn't a touchdown. And really everybody in the stadium was like, how was that not how was that not a touchdown? And then they showed it on the big screen, and I'm like, yeah, that is so a touchdown. If you don't say that's a touchdown, ref, you're blind or something. But Kurt Rapdall's over his shoulder catch was absolutely beautiful. I would say that was something that really caught my eye. And just talking otherwise, I would say that Cade Warner, he had a short behind the line touchdown pass that he ran back for a touchdown. I would say I was pretty impressed with that. And again, another very young player. So, I mean, young players was really the summary. If I had to give a summary to this game today, is we saw young players that did some things that were beautiful, even some things that I would call NFL quality plays. And we saw some young players that were young players and made mistakes. So hopefully that will be some things that are cleaned up by the time that Akron comes to town.
Before we let you go, Ben, I've asked you about the quarterbacks and the receivers. Now, just overall, is there one particular player that you thought really stood out that impressed you most that you're really excited to see play this fall, or maybe play this fall?
Yeah, I'm probably going to give you a compound answer on that, and I know this is a compound answer before I even say
Great.
it. But I'm really excited to see Adrian Martinez. I think that he was the great first big name that Scott Frost recruited when he came here. He had a lot of excitement, but he was kind of an unknown. One of the things that I will say when I first heard that name that scared me a lot, scared my wife too, because my wife even talked to me a lot about this today, is
where you're going with this.
Is another Martinez. Is this going to be
from California?
Part two? Yeah, exactly. And actually, Stibbs, I think it was even you or one of the guys. I even asked you at work after, because I work at the radio stations there too, for folks that don't know that.
Spoiler alert.
I'm sorry?
No, you're good. Keep going. I'm sorry.
But I asked some of the guys, at the zone there, is this guy related to him? And they said no, and I took a great big huge sigh of relief.
Yes, no relation.
Yeah.
Taylor did some good things, but yeah, I agree. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
this was great.
Thanks, Ben.
We're a long ways from the fall, and if we still have a radio show then, we'll bring you back, I promise.
Yeah, and I will tell you, too, my wife is taking a little sigh of relief now, too, because, I mean, as you guys know from around the station there, I am, if nothing, obsessed with Husker football, and I have the theme songs, and I have the Go Big Red chant, which goes off a few times when I'm doing production stuff around it. I know drives you guys nuts, but as the texting on my phone,
Yep.
and yeah, you've never heard it.
We'll hear it, and I'm like, there's Ben.
Yeah.
Ben is here.
But my wife has gone to wake up every single morning to hail varsity, so I am sure that she's excited to have a different ringer to wake up to every single morning here for a few months. So.
Well, thanks for joining us. Sorry we kept you up late. You can go join your wife in bed now.
I already got the little nap, but thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben. Have a good one.